So it really leaves up a lot of room for tweaking a kick and make it perfect. Hey guys, welcome to the vlog, welcome to the studio. It's Sunday, I got the entire day here in the studio, full on, only music production. Really happy about it. No more virus news, we'll just like work. I think that's the only thing you can basically do. Good news, really good news. My song About You reached now, let me check. Almost 70,000 plays within less than 2 weeks since the release, which is just... it's like the best start of any of my releases ever, which makes me really happy. Thanks a lot for everyone supporting it. If you're interested, it's linked down below, as well as the sample pack that is made out of all of the parts that I used in that song. So let's get to today's main topic for the video, and it's all about kick drums. They are important. There is no question about it in electronic dance music, pop music, hip hop. It's like very important. The kick drum is like half of your song sometimes, because it's like so big and takes up so many frequencies. And if you get the kick right, the mixing is a lot easier. It's a lot easier to find other parts to it. Whenever I'm struggling with a song, I start replacing the kick drum. And when I find one that actually works, it makes everything so much easier. And in the past, I've always used samples for my kick drums, which is, to be honest, a little frustrating, because you go through sample packs and like kick, another kick, and there's not always like the perfect among them. So I started having a selection of 10 kicks over the years that I used, where I knew there are good starting points. But in the past couple of weeks and months, I started to actually change my kick making process to something more efficient, that is way more satisfying. And there's like one plugin in particular involved in making this happen. This one right here is Kick 2, which is a program that lets you shape kicks. And there are alternatives out there that you can use as well. This one is the one that I'm using at the moment. And it lets you basically shape the kick in any way you could think of, and basically draw it and like do the pitch envelope shaping and make it sound perfect and make it fit to the song. And since I'm using this, I mean, it's a little more complicated than using a sample, but it's worth to actually learn how to use it and shape a perfect kick sound. Because whenever the kick doesn't really work in the mix, you can go in there and just like drag, pull, and turn some knobs and actually make it work, and not have to go through a lot of samples and be frustrated again. So basically how it works is pretty simple. For example, a standard kick sound, and then you have this curve right here that tells you about the pitch of the kick. So let me maybe open up span at the same time. So for example, the lower ones are usually like the main pitch of the kick. So if I now turn them down, you can see in span that the pitch of the kick changed. And usually you want to stick to something around maybe 45 Hertz to 55, although 55 is already too high. And you can see the corresponding notes for it. So A1 is 55 Hertz, that's too high. So G is usually really nice for club music. Then this section gives you like click sounds for the top part of the kick. I will mute them for now, so we can hear the pure kick. You can lower the first one right here to control the click. And then the next ones, let's maybe delete one to make it less complicated. They will give you like the knock of the kick. That is usually between like 80 or 100 Hertz. So this is extremely handy. You can pitch the kick to the key of your song very easily. You can tweak any kind of thing that you could never do with a sample. You can also go into the amp mode, where you can, for example, change the volume of certain parts of the kick. So you can shorten it, make it really long. It's really up to you to shape it. It's basically like drawing the waveform of the kick and make it sound like whatever you want it to sound like. And then for the top parts, you have these clicks that you can load in there. To get that live feeling and mix like sampled kick top parts with the artificial one you just created. And there's a lot more to it. You can like distort it, clip distort it, compress it. You can control really almost or basically every aspect of a kick drum. And you could also do snares in here. I think there are even some presets. Toms are also possible. So it really leaves up a lot of room for tweaking a kick and make it perfect. You can also use other programs to do the same. I think here it's the easiest because you can actually see what you're doing. You can also make kick drums with Serum itself. So if you're interested in that, let me know and I'll do a full video on how to actually pull that off. It's a little more complicated, but basically the same thing. So if you're still using samples, maybe try this method out and be aware of controlling the sub-frequencies. Again, I recommend between 45 and maybe 55 Hertz for the sub part. For all electronic music where the kick is like the main focus. So future house, progressive house, all kinds of house, tech house, techno, big room, all that kind of stuff has the focus on the kick. And then you can of course control the click, the volume of the click. So this way you can make sure that the sub-frequency goes well with the bass and has like the right ratio between those two, and sidechain it properly to glue it together. And then you can separately control the click. If the song is very busy, you might need a click that actually cuts through. So a click of a kick that sounds very live and organic might actually have more high frequency and cut through the mix and make it audible. And if you make like a deep techno song or a deep progressive house song where you only have a few elements and not that much like loop drum kind of stuff going on, like a click that is very short and very precise is maybe enough to cut through. In my opinion, I prefer these kind of very clean clicks, but it's hard to make them cut through everything else. So yeah, that's basically already it. I will use the day entirely to mix and mix even more, and maybe try out tweaking and exchanging the kick on my new song, Save the Day. It's this close being finished. I already said a million times it's finished, but it's still not. I still don't feel like it's ready for release, but I'll play you a little sneak preview now in the outro.
I will stand back and stand in the fire, then I will come and save the day.